Submitting comments to the FDA is really easy, and we're going to try to make the process even easier for you. So hopefully you've seen our website before. We have a section that we call the Federal Tobacco Action Center. Anytime that there's an opportunity to engage with the FDA, you'll find all of the information that you need under the current action items. I will also highlight for you that we have tons of other resources on our website to help you understand the FDA's processes and federal regulation of tobacco products. Lots of publications and lots of videos. Today, we're talking about submitting comments to the FDA. So we'll use the open docket for the tobacco product standard for menthol as an example. For every item that the FDA is accepting comments on, we have plenty of information for you. You'll see a narrative kind of giving you a little bit of background on what's going on, plenty of links to other resources of ours. And if you're the kind of person who really likes to dig into the details, we have all of that information over here on the side as well. But if you're here just to find out how to submit a comment, we've made it as easy as we can by putting in this link that will take you directly to the spot where you can submit a comment to the FDA. If you haven't done this before, it is very simple. You can simply type in your comment. There's a 5,000 character limit, or you can attach a file, Word documents, JPEGs, PDFs, whatever you would like. And then the website asks you to select a category. This isn't exceptionally important. It's just sort of for background organization for the government. You can include your email address if you'd like to get a confirmation that your comment was submitted. And then all you have to do is either insert information for your organization, for yourself, or you can remain anonymous. After that, verify you're not a robot and submit your comment, and you're done. That's really all there is to it. It's very simple. It can be as long and detailed or as simple as you'd like it to be. So what should you put in your comments? Well, comments can be pretty simple. They can in fact be as short or as long, as simple or as complicated as you like it. The information that you submit is whatever is most relevant to you and whatever you think is going to be helpful to the FDA. It's important to remember that you can submit multiple comments. So you don't have to put everything that you want the FDA to hear in one comment. You can submit comments with other groups and then include your own information in a separate comment. There's no limit on the number of comments you can submit. It is important to remember that this really isn't an election, so it's not about the number of comments that the FDA receives. Obviously, more comments means that either there are a lot of people and groups in favor or opposed to a particular issue, but no one is counting up the comments to figure out what the FDA should do in the future. Similarly, it's not really about the volume of your comment either. You can submit a 200-page comment to the FDA, but if there's only a few pages worth of content, it's really those few pages that are the important part and not necessarily the other 200. And then it's important to know that form letters to the FDA or sort of template comments where you just have people or a group sign their name at the bottom with the same content, they're really not all that helpful. Again, it's not an election, so no one's counting up the number of comments. If you submit 30,000 versions of the same letter with different signatures, it doesn't mean the FDA analyzes that information 30,000 times or gives it 30,000 times the weight. What might be a better option in that circumstance is to have a joint letter where you put all the information that you want in one letter and then have multiple organizations or individuals sign that one letter, demonstrating that all of those groups and people are behind that particular idea, but you're not adding a lot of work for the FDA in reading the comments. In commenting to the FDA, it's always important to include scientific information. The FDA is a regulatory agency that looks very carefully at the scientific evidence base, and so including data in your comment makes it even more useful for the agency. Now, obviously, the gold standard when it comes to scientific information is peer-reviewed studies, but that's not the limit. If you have information that maybe wasn't published, even though you attempted to get it published, or you never attempted to publish it in the first place, as long as it's relevant to the issue that the FDA is considering, it's still good information. The unpublished portions of published information is also good information. Essentially, all data is going to be important to the FDA. And the FDA's scientists are great at gathering the data that's published out in the world, but your local level information is something that the FDA might not have. And so your local data, even though it might only be specific to your jurisdiction, is always still important and still useful. In anything that you're submitting to the FDA, it's good to give them the information, but what's even better is to provide context. Often it's the case that because of word and page limits, you can't necessarily say everything you wanted to say when you publish something, but you can, in this instance, give the FDA the background information that you think is still important. So consider writing a cover letter that explains the importance of the information that you're submitting. When it comes to policies like those that the FDA is considering now, evaluation data is even more important. There are lots of jurisdictions in the United States and abroad that have implemented policies very similar or identical to what the FDA is considering. And if you have information on how that policy was implemented in your jurisdiction, and you have information on how the FDA can make things better or lessons learned along the way, that information is absolutely critical. Remember that qualitative data is also still data. So even if the information that you've gathered is something like surveys about attitudes and beliefs about particular issues, that's still relevant and still important information to get in front of the FDA. And then finally, consider actually submitting your data or your published or unpublished study to the FDA as a part of your comment. If you write a letter to the FDA and reference something, the FDA can go and look it up, but they're not required to. But if you actually include that information with your comment, then the FDA is required to read it. But most importantly, we all need to comment to the FDA and tell the FDA what it should and shouldn't do when it finalizes these rules. This is your one opportunity to be involved in this process.